Okay, time for chapter 2. I wish. Pages turned as the legendary words were skimmed, a passive thumb trailing against the dry pages in the bright sunlight. Scents from the nearby kitchen of the castle caught a wandering knight's senses, reminding him of his own impending hunger. He easily sidestepped an incoming obstacle, a simple Waddle Dee, as he continued mulling over the legend of the angel that flew too close to the Holy Nova. Metal stews chinked across the floor, flowing cape flashing old war wounds that would never leave him for as long as he would live. Pale eyes, tainted in amber, were green with deep thought from the words he had been reading, in particular of the clockwork star launch. Had it ever made its way to the cosmos? To throw away such a powerful machine felt incompetent. The tale had been told in fairy-like fashion, not exactly to the knight's particular preferences, but it sufficed in a lead towards something of potential value. Once again, an obstacle came in the corner of his sharp eyes, quick reflexes easily dodging the body and continuing his casual patrol. It was generally peaceful in Poo-Poo Land, and the village just below the castle's overhanging location. The only real threat was ironically the monarch that night served. The delightful oaf quite enjoyed playing with fire when it came to his entertainment. He wouldn't have it any other way. "Oi, Meta Knight!" The king's voice bellowed, bombastically demanding attention. Meta Knight easily memorized his placement in his book and closed it with swift motion. His eyes returned to Amber, suspicion already coming to his mind upon being prompted. "Yes, sire?" "Get your head out of those dumb books. Take your job more seriously," he scolded as he leaned in, flaunting his height deference against the knight. "I don't pay you to read to me." A tiny smirk came to his hidden face, biting back a playful remark. He thought his eyes wanted to flicker to pink, thankfully winning. "My apologies, King Dedede." A gloved hand tucked the packet of parchment into his cape, letting it slip into his personal dimensional pocket. "I was simply reading something I thought you might have interest in. Of course, if you aren't—" "What? What is it? Tell me!" The smirk only widening. He was always too easy. "Sire, you may find it childish, but there is a possibility of a clockwork star that can grant wishes somewhere out there," Meta Knight hummed, seeing the blossoming intrigue in the monarch's eyes. "I am no astronomer, but I was hoping to find something concrete for your highness before I brought it up." "Heh, you know, Meta Knight, you should always tell your king everything." The large penguin rose back up, bearing his own wide grin. "I'm going to order the Waddle Dees to look into this for me. Then I'll wish for, I'm already the greatest king ever, so..." He paused in thought, the luxurious robes swaying with his movements. "Perhaps his highness can wish to finally defeat..." "I can already defeat Kirby with one hand tied behind my back, you old man," King Dedede snapped childishly, suiting my glare before the gears in his mind began grinding. "But I'll think about it when they find it. That wish is mine. Now, go get back to your job." "As you wish, sire." Meta Knight hummed, finally making his way through the hallway. He could feel the blue pride infecting his pesky eyes. He knew he had played the king once again. One last task for him to worry about. His Majesty had more resources to look into the matter anyways. Meta Knight had his doubts, but if legends were true, it would be a game changer. Everything could change with a single whisk. Now his next mission was just out into the country yard by the sound of things. He paused in the shadows, nearly blending into the pillars of shade. He observed 3 children facing a reasonably weak demon beast. A pink puff like the Eno Knight himself, though very clearly in his youthful years, ran around with a fire ability as he instinctively battled with the white fluffy Wappa. He pelted the creature with embers and flames before rushing to defend his friends from his attempt at attacking the innocent. The pair of children held their arms to defend their faces, the elder sister far braver than her younger brother. "Kirby, finish it off!" he commanded, Kirby nodding with the only sound in his underdeveloped vocal cords can make. "Boil!" Kirby had definitely gained confidence and strength over the last few months, having taken on several other demon beasts. His first fight against an octagon was certainly impressive, though unmatched by the youth's quick learning. Demon beast after demon beast, Meta Knight himself had learned the young puff was certainly a cut above the rest. Though the young one was the first of his generation that he had encountered, the golden warp star of his was certainly an indicator of that, even if he couldn't call it without his assistance just yet. Before dealing with larger and more dangerous demon beasts of childhood woes, the younger warrior was doing fine for himself. Meta Knight turned from the scene with disinterest, fully knowing the premature child was handling the situation flying colors. He wasn't needed right now. The sound of a low-key burst from the beast only further proved his point. Kirby was more than capable, but even so, it felt almost vile to not lift a finger to assist him. He shook it off. "Sir Meta Knight!" Twin voices called for him, one pink and one blue. "Lololo, lololo, do you need something?" he asked, intentionally feigning innocence. He had already a feeling as to what they were after. "Sir Meta Knight, there's a demon beast here!" Lololo cried out with worry. "We need to find Fumu and Bun and..." Lololo began as her words trailed off. "Kirby?" There was an unexpected pause. Then he turned around to see the young puff lifting himself in through the balcony, his little arms pushing his air-filled body higher and higher until he released it. The child landed with a playful flip, his ability being tossed away now that the danger was gone. Boyle! He grinned, waving at the group. Kirby, are Fumu and Bun with you? Lulula questioned, the twins sighing in relief as the Kirby pointed downward at the courtyard. Oh, thank the stars! The two flew towards the other children, leaving the knight and the younger warrior alone. Innocent blue eyes watched the older soldier with brimming curiosity, and soon he had been spotted upon observing the fight. How careless. Meta Knight stared back at Kirby, a flicker of movement distracting him just for a second. Just a butterfly. Boyle! Boyle! Kirby spoke, giving a smile and taking a step forward. From the gesture and tone, he had assumed the youth was telling him that it was safe now. But it never was. Well done, Kirby. You managed without my assistance, he complimented coldly, wanting to keep that distance between them sternly. The child did not get attached to him. This was a war, and at any moment he could have the lights snuffed out. The last thing he wanted was for the fabled child to be weighed down by grief. He was meant to put an end to this long-drawn battle. Kirby was destined to destroy the evil wizard behind all the turmoil of the galaxy, Nightmare. His purity was the only thing that could end that cosmic terror. To tarnish their only chance with his own life would be abhorrent. Boyle? At least, that's what he told himself. Your friends will be wondering where you've gone. You should get back to them, Meta Knight gently advised, turning to leave. He suddenly heard footsteps picking up the pace, the knight clicking his tongue in annoyance. His cape swept over him, the dark veil taking away from where he once stood. Kirby ran to the empty spot, his eyes looking feverishly for the other. Kirby! Ah, a young lady's voice called for him in a tired manner. Arg, where did you go? I think he's over here, sis, a boy's voice offered. The pink puff hummed, looking confused at the disappearance of the knight. He glanced around a few more times, the other final can't hummed to him. Kirby, there you are, the noble girl sighed in relief. Geez, why'd you run off like that? Did you see another? Kirby shook off his head, his attention now squarely on his friends. Come on, let's go get something to eat. I'm starving, the boy searched. I bet King Dedede's gonna be real mad that you won again. Oh, yes, Lala giggled as Lolo followed up her sentence with a definitely. Boyle! Kirby smiled, following his friends into the nearest dining hall. The moment their echoing steps faded, the knight reappeared in his spot. Midnight blue was wrapped tightly around him, his soft cape giving him a low standard for comfort. A sigh escaped him as he continued his rounds. Light from the sun outside was beginning to melt into sweet orange, pink candy clouds gently passing through, and blue blended into the sherbet sky. Ambered eyes appreciating the fleeting moment with the sun slowly setting upon another day, though the day was far from over. With time finally calling an end to his patrol, a quick visit to the king left him free to return to his smaller quarters. However, he had other plans. The knight swept himself into nothingness, vanishing into the depths of the castle he resided in. Dark, dank catacombs were claustrophobic, but they were carefully hidden. All that lurked beneath the stony walls was a mystery even to the Highness himself. Appearing before a small group, the knight was welcomed by his crew. A young half-goblin raced over to him, followed by a warrior with an electrical trident. Sir Meta Knight, Scoldador axe wielder smiled through his bony mask. You're back! I just wanted to check on things. I finished up early and have His Highness checking into that rumor I read about, Meta Knight smiled. Thank you for reminding me of the tale, Triton Knight. A deep purple knight nodded respectively. Yes, sir, you're very welcome. I simply came to me while all of us were having issues with the hull, and I had to steal it with my sparks. And then Mason's javelin commented how they wished they could help, and yeah, we remembered the story you told us once back when we were still new. The clearly youngest knight beamed. I sure wish I could wish for more power, too. Did any of you need anything while I'm here? Meta Knight questioned, knowing he could easily slip into town and grab supplies for them. It wasn't as though his crew were exactly public knowledge. Yet. Some Meta Knight, a raspy voice called out nearby. We'll be reading some more matters if you can find any. We'll be trying to while we go for the harbor, but you need a bit more than what you found last time. The knight hummed, watching a large brown avian in captain's attire make his way over with a youthful Waddle Dee in a similar outfit. The both of them were wiping themselves clean of oil and some small scrapes. Oh, could you get him some food too? We're running low on snacks, sir. Your cousin couldn't sneak any today, I take it? Nope, King Dedede took away his favorite bandana again. He's been trying to work hard and get it back, the boy sighed as he clung to his favorite hat. I could try to go myself, but... Oh, no, you don't. You nearly burned yourself from trying to help Javelin with the welding. Just stand here and let Axe practice his basic aid. You did what? Axe Knight frowned. Sailor! Yes, I'll go get you some sacks, Meta Knight sighed. Annoyed that some of his crew was getting careless. It was difficult to ration out food with a stingy ruler above them. I'll also pay a visit to the junkyard and gather some things there for the ship. How's the progress on it? Try to night home before staring at their leader. Going as well as it can be. A few short tests from my electricity shows that we figured out how to make the circuits, but engine 8 making's going to be a bit more harder. None of us know how to do it. From now on, continue on the body of the ship, he ordered. He would pay his books. He would have to pay his books another visit as to how to make an engine. At worst, they likely had to make the sails and wings bigger if somehow it's too heavy, right? Yeah, he had no idea what he was doing. He was a warrior, not an engineer. Did he look like he was blessed with an engineer ability? I'll be back. The crew saluted before tending to each other for a short rest in a low-lit basement. Before he could teleport outside the room, there were a flurry of footsteps. What now? Sir Meta Knight! A familiar voice found him in the form of one of his loyal companions. Sword Knight, Blade Knight, he greeted Simon casually. What seems to be a trouble? Sir, there's a strange monster in the village. The green warrior with crimson hair explained urgently. It's not like any demon beast we've ever seen. It's still made of strings? We need you! Sword Knight gestured frantically. Actually, I should be talking. Whatever, I don't care. I'm not gonna try and do the weird thing. What? Meta Knight had never heard of such a thing. A string demon beast? And there's something else. Blade Knight shook his head at the mayhem occurring already. There's another one of Kirby over by the Orange Ocean. Another? It was seen that another puff had landed. Axe, Mix, Trident, I want you to go to Orange Knight and retrieve the visitor. Bring him here in secret and do not let Titus see him. I am entrusting you three with a very vital mission. Am I clear? Yes, sir. The three nodded urgently before rushing out of one of the secret passages. Whoever they could find would be in good hands. Sword, blade, with me. Let's move out. Metal shoes clinged in the shadows, the wind sweeping past them in resistance. Through the tunnels and into the evening glow, the sound of villagers panicking and shrieking were louder than anything else. Meta Knight's wings sprang forth as he took flight and rocketed towards the mayhem faster than a shooting star to assist Kirby. Sword and Blade were tracking behind him as best they could, though it was simply a fact that they were bound by gravity and not as quick as skyborn entities. He dove down to beaten up Kirby burned into the grass, a myriad of strings coiling up around his body. Fumu and Bun were below, the children looking as though they were ready to charge in. No! The serpentine hissed, fabric veins attached, exposed and ready for another attack. Meta Knight rushed in to push Kirby out of the way for an attack. Grass grazed against the two, friction burning their exposed skin as they barely avoided the abnormal beast. The child in his arms barely spoke from exhausting. He blinked slowly at his rescuer. He looking guiltily for being unable to stop his monster by himself this time. Boyle! Meta Knight looked around for something for Kirby to snuck in. Something, anything would work, whatever this thing was. Silly, a swift cuff from some fire would do the trick. Where? He turned over to Blade, Sword and Blade coming to join them. Sir, Meta Knight! Blade! Give Kirby your sword! Kirby, suck it in! Blade did its instructions, dangerous weapon now flying towards them. He immediately pulled out a second sword to defend Bun and Fumu from yarn-made fireballs that were being sent their way. Kirby managed to catch the metal, waving it over to Kirby's mouth. And held this now! Kirby swallowed it whole, feeling the metallic weapon begin to change him. He obtained his green hat and his sword spawned through a mystical light. The sword ability now his own. Sir Meta Knight, the young lady called out. That thing's protecting its eyes. Kirby almost sucked them up, but it didn't work. It was protecting its eyes, was it? But perhaps if Meta Knight took out the whip he was always carried within his small pocket realm of its caped wings, ensnaring the creature with its precious buttons for eyes. He growled and hissed, withering wildly. Kirby nodded more confidently, and he ran in to cut down the yarn beast. The snake started bringing out fireballs. Through his vassals easily defended the other children. Kirby jumped for the beast, cutting down the eyes while Meta Knight held it in place with his sheer strength. It growled, though throwing even larger fireballs at them. Meta Knight withdrew his rare weapon before drawing out his prize blade, Galaxia. He leaped into the battlefield, deflecting the attack with Kirby now at his side. The boy was ready to end this. No words needed to be exchanged. The two warriors joined together to attack the snake's button eyes one last time. With a few quick slices of all their weapons, the yarn snapped and ripped, tearing the creature apart. A pile of giant yarn rested before them, now harmless. Wow! So cool! Button seemed to be enjoying the snow. Boyle! Kirby wailed, having ensnared himself in the fluffy strings. No longer had his ability. Kirby saw the blade's sword was coughed up. The weapon's owner groaned at the saliva encasing it. Meta Knight chuckled at Blade's response, Sword patting his back with sympathy as he absorbed, feeling a light touch on his shoulder. Thanks for always helping us, Sir Meta Knight. Fumu smiled at him in admiration. Her expression was copied onto her younger brother. It's simply my duty, he politely replied before digging his sword into the ground and seeing the helpless Kirby and the knots. What was that thing? Where did it come from? Hey, Sir Meta Knight, are you going to help Kirby? Bun blinked as he joined the Elder Knight with the sword and blade in tow. For a moment, he debated on it. Kirby should be able to get out of something so simple, and yet he struggled. He truly was prematurely awakened. With a silent sigh, he slowly walked over into the rainbow mess and began helping Kirby escape his cotton confines. Stay still, he ordered sternly, enforcing his internal distance despite his physical proximity. Boyle? Kirby blinked, letting the older warrior slowly help him out. Upon being freed, he stared down at the curious child, Kirby returning his gaze with awe. Those blue eyes were filled with an unknowing wonder, instinct making the old knight's steady hand twitch. Why did he have to be so young? You're free now. You can return to your friends, Meta Knight gently told him. The young puff continued staring up at him, his mind trying to figure something out. Despite being a borderline toddler, Kirby was sharp with concepts he had yet to be able to explain. However, their brief moment was not to last. A strange cackle was heard behind them. The knight immediately taking a protective stance before the child. His amber eyes calculated how far Fumu and Bun were. The sword and blade had covered them for whatever this thing was. Before their collective sight was a large man? He apparently was made of nothing but strings, just like the monster they had defeated. He was colorful, to say the least. A bit on the tacky side, but most demon beasts were worse, wearing a back yarn and mustache and a large sombrero and poncho. For some reason, the odd person had a Maximum tomato on his hat, not fashion statement, but he wasn't one to judge. Meta Knight did raise the sombrero with the two staffs he held. This stranger must have been a sorcerer. Who goes there? Meta Knight snapped, already bringing Galaxy out into the fray. The vassals did the same, protecting the other children. The wizard merely cackled again, his eyes gleaming with their horrendous fluff. Mind if I suck it to you? All of a sudden, a strong wind began to suck them all in, something rivaling the straight of Kirby's own Saxon. It was all centered around a sock? The children clung to sword and blade with their cries, Kirby clutching Meta Knight with his eyes desperate for direction. Kirby, call your warp star! Meta Knight ordered, needing the mystical object to hit this opponent and stop whatever magic he was trying to pull. Boyle! He nodded, looking up to the girl he called a friend. She nodded, heard the plan. Come! Warp star! He tried to cling onto the ground, Meta Knight using Galaxy as an anchor. His cape unfurled into his mighty wings once more, practically scooping Kirby closer to him as he avoided losing the boy to Suxon. He gritted his teeth, smirking slightly when he saw the gleam of the elegant star making its way from the heavens. As he had planned, the extension of Kirby being slammed into Evil Mage's back, temporarily canceling the attack. Sparing no moments, Meta Knight made a run for the wizard, Kirby following suit with his warp star having scooped him up. The two charged, taking his opportunity to try and inhale the stingy version of this tomato. Hey, that's my magic tomato! The sorcerer snapped, swinging as one of his staffs at the young horse crassly and tossing him aside. Kirby yelped in his surprise, though it was too late. He snagged the prize and gobbled it up. Meta Knight raised Galaxia to attack the sorcerer's violet eyes, only to feel the suction activate once again. He was too close to try and escape the force of it this time, feeling his body again getting pulled into the realm of fabric. All of his senses would register when the wild winds pulling him into like a black hole and his companion screaming his name out of fear. The world went black as he felt his body become lighter and lighter. The strange suggesting of pants was all over his skin. Just what was happening to him? This was no energy as if it was one at all. Oh, what he would have given to the wish for the wish for what he wouldn't give for a wish to have been stronger. I'm definitely not stringing you guys along.